What's going on, everybody? In this video we're going to be discussing the HEX news. We're going to be looking at the Crypto7 channel where he actually reviewed Access Alive, and we're going to be diving into figuring out maybe my own analysis of some of that information that was divulged in that. Thank you so much to Crypto7, who has been giving a huge support to the channel lately. Cannot wait for our stream together and do our collab whenever Testnet v3 does launch. But at this point in time, guys, I hope y'all are having a fantastic day. It's Thursday, it's March 2nd. We're moving along this day just perfectly fine. But we are, as always, going to be looking into HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX. Now, let's take a look at some recent videos that have been kind of coming on board. One of them actually really caught my attention. This one's from Fashion Coder. By the way, we are doing an interview with her as well on March 10th, so get ready for that. But in this scenario, I actually was pretty curious as to this particular segment that she did. And it actually had to do with how to get your friends into crypto. Now, a lot of that, seems pretty obvious, but sometimes when you say this kind of information, friends can have a lot of pushback. They have a lot of opinions. I mean, hell, in Randy Hilarski's stream the other day, he said that someone who he thought was a friend was literally calling him a scammer because of the investment choices that he decided to make. And of course, after that happens, they're no longer friends. Some things cannot be unsaid, and I completely understand where he's coming from in this regard. So I was really curious to see kind of what point she had. Also wanted to throw in my 2 cents on that as well. But let's take a little peek over here and see kind of what she got going on. Again, if you want to check out this link, or if you want to check out the video, link is down in the description below for Fashion Coder as well.
And so right now is actually the best time to talk about crypto with your friends. And the reason why is we have either already hit or are near the bottom of the market. And for someone, me, that got in at the bottom of the market in the last bear market, I'm just going to tell you, like, that is the absolute best time. I mean,
obviously, right? She goes in to say that a little bit more. She goes through and actually has a couple other parts, and I broke this down into different segments. So I'm going to skip around a little bit on this video, but and I'll give my 2 cents.
It is a sad time because, like, the market's not really going up right now, and I mean, we're in a recession, so there is that too. But right now is an amazing time to get in because of where we're at and where we're sitting. And like I said, like, that's where I got in. And then this last bull market, I mean, of course, like, I saw all of my coins go up a ton. Didn't even know that, like, in my early 20s, like, I could see a portfolio look like that. But at the exact same time, like, I think it's going to be this next bull market that I'll really see, like, absolute gains.
And then she has one last little segment here as well.
More experience than them if you are invested or whatever it is. So telling your story is absolutely number one. The second thing is actually being willing to help them out and answer questions or point them in the right direction, because if someone doesn't feel like you're going to help them out, they're not going to go to you, and they'll probably actually never end up getting into it, right? So because of that, you're able to really take on that role if that's what you want to have. But there's also resources out there too. And people do have different videos that you can go in and show different people how to do them.
So that's kind of the little segment she goes through. It's a little 5-minute video. Y'all are welcome to go check it out. Again, link is down in the description below to anyone who does want to go through and actually check that out. Because at the same time, folks, getting friends into crypto can, of course, be an exciting and rewarding experience for you, for them, and as someone who has experience in this crypto industry, who has seen firsthand how it can actually transform people's lives. The key is to approach it with an open mind and a willingness to learn, because we're going to have a lot of folks coming into our ecosystem, from the launch of PulseChain to the launch of PulseX to figuring out what HEX is, and all of the unique pillars that we have available right in front of us. So I want to kind of start prepping everyone's mind to have an idea of how to talk about crypto. There is a particular way that you can share your experience without just vomiting and basically just like spitting all over them, saying like, you need to do it, you're gonna miss out, you're gonna regret it. Like, that's not the way to go. You gotta have an open mind. You have to have a willingness to accept their level of understanding and actually break it down to them in terms that they do understand. So firstly, it's important to educate your friends on the basics of crypto, including what it is, how it works, and of course, why it matters. This can help demystify the technology and make it more accessible and actually more understandable to them as well. Because I don't know about y'all, but me, myself, in my own story, we have levels of understanding when it comes to crypto. I think everyone, when they first starts on some form of centralized exchange, unless you have a friend who's there to hold your hand and help guide you in how crypto really is. But all of us have to go through a level of understanding, a level of learning, and you have to realize they're starting at that level as well. Think back to when you first joined, right? Or you first started in crypto, and maybe you were fortunate and just got taught the right thing the right way the first time. Most people don't have that experience. So second, it's important to encourage your friends, right? It's important to encourage them to actually start small. Invest only what they can afford to lose. Like, make sure that this is a fun little showcase of them what's possible, especially now that HEX price is pumping again, and God forbid it goes from 7 cents to 5 cents, and then they're like, I knew I shouldn't have gotten in. Like, that is what we're talking about there. You hopefully get the chance to explain it to them. You explain, don't go all in on it, don't YOLO this, you know, have an understanding of a way to teach them and educate them. And of course, it'll help avoid them making any rash decisions and also minimize their risk. And guys, it's important to help your friends navigate the crypto landscape. Right, you got to make sure that you're recommending reputable exchanges, and that's tough because we don't really know. Like, an exchange can go bankrupt any second, so it's important that you don't keep your funds on centralized exchanges, right? What exchanges are you using to on and off ramp into crypto? The only thing you should use an exchange for is that purpose, on and off ramp. You should never hold any crypto in any centralized exchange. Make sure they have a good understanding of how to set up their wallet, how to set up the security for their wallet. Make sure they don't compromise themselves immediately by doing something like take screenshots of their seed words and saving them to the cloud or saving them to the Google Drive. Make sure that you're sharing some products and projects that you find to be the best, and let them, if they want to go figure out the other ones, let them go do it. But make sure you explain to them, maybe have a separate wallet to go do that. It can help to avoid scams. It can help to maximize their chances of success. And that's when you really start getting the thank you for showing me crypto. Thank you for getting me involved. Those messages, when you get them, are so incredible. They're so, like, it's such an uplifting feeling that, like, you were able to literally help change someone's life, folks. It's incredible to see that happen. And finally, you got to be supportive, folks. You've got to be supportive. You are the knowledgeable resource for your friends when it comes to the journey of crypto. So hopefully you take some time to also learn yourself. It is very important that when you are talking, you aren't just talking and making stuff up, but coming from a factual standpoint. And if you don't know something, let them know that you don't know. Don't be afraid to say, guys, I don't know that, but I will get back to you because that is a very good question that I want to learn myself. So that way in the future, I can make sure I'm well aware of that, right? Share your insights, share your experiences, help them stay up to date on the latest developments in the industry. Make sure that they know what's going on, especially with PulseChain and PulseX launching very soon, folks. This is an opportunity of a lifetime that can absolutely change someone's life, for, like, just in general, right? It can put them on a direction that they never even thought possible. It can allow them to have financial freedom. It can allow them to do what they want. Maybe take a vacation with their family that they have never been able to take. There's so many available things that can happen in the future that it's important to make sure that y'all are doing what you can as well. Remember, getting started in crypto can be intimidating, right? It's important to come with the right approach, support anyone, because anyone can succeed. It's just a matter of, like, do you have the fortitude, the mental fortitude that it takes to understand that like crypto's volatile, dude. Like you got to understand things are going to go up an insane number. You may see a 2, 3, 5, 6, 10x, 100x. You may see some crazy numbers, but it's also important to understand that with crypto comes the dips. Dips are in the game. 60, 70, 80, 90% dips, they come. So make sure that when you're investing and you're telling someone to invest into a crypto and you're helping them guide them along, that one, they're willing to see the price drop 90, 95%, because obviously in HEX, we've already seen it happen. So if you're getting someone into PulseChain telling them that it's never gonna drop, it's never gonna do this, that's the wrong approach, man. Hit them with the truth. Let them know that, man, I can't guarantee what's going to happen, but I can see this being the best play possible out of all the crypto choices that's available in the market. Boom. Like, could it dip 95%? Sure, but what am I teaching you? I'm trying to teach you, I'm trying to help guide you, I'm trying to educate you that it's a long-term play in this world of crypto, guys. This is not for the short-term folks. We are not traders. Traders get freaking wrecked. We do not want to end up getting wrecked, okay? So that is my 2 cents on the getting friends into crypto speech. I think Fashion Coder had a phenomenal video that she did herself. In fact, it's 5 minutes long. I highly recommend going and check it out. Link is down in the description below. You can also subscribe to her channel. She will be coming on March 10th, so get ready for that as well. And let's say what's up to the chat. So what's up, you beautiful people? Hope everyone, as always, is having a fantastic day. Give me 1 second here. Hello, 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 hello. All right, that's a lot better. It looks a lot better. For whatever reason, it looked like my mouth was almost dubbed. Interesting. Okay, maybe it looks dubbed now. I don't know. What did I change? What did I do? What's up, Facing Reality? Hello, hello. Tin Top. What's up, Hexicans? John Trotter. Hello. What's up? Hello, everyone saying what's up to each other. Beautiful people, man. Absolutely love the engagement, love the support with every single one of y'all. Actually, I found threats of bodily harm work really well too. It's the same as encouragement in my dysfunctional family. Look, man, if you don't get into crypto, man, I'm breaking that leg, bro. I'm breaking that leg. Don't forget, not financial advice. Not financial advice. Yeah. I think she did it at the very beginning of her video, and I meant to play that little segment right there because she goes through not financial advice, and it's what she does in that little video. But again, guys, yeah, of course, obviously not financial advice. This is all for fun. We're just talking. But why not help at least try to do things at least in a much better way? So yes, absolutely, Prospector. You are correct when stating that. We got little Uno. What's up? Less friends, more hex. To be honest, I don't waste my time on showing no corners anything anymore. So that's the thing about this little Uno. There's a certain way to go about getting it done. Like, one, I'm not spending time trying to help get someone into the world of crypto. I'm not trying to help educate them. I'm not trying to spend the hours that it takes sometimes to make sure that they have a very good understanding of the world of crypto if they don't even have the interest in the first place. Like, I gave up on that a long time ago. Another thing that I gave up on is showing people my actual portfolio, because a long time ago, I would show people and be like, dude, look at this. I turned this amount of money into this amount of money in this amount of time. You should also do it. We can win together. And like, you know, that while it may work and some people love it and want to get it and they just need to see it because it is what it is, if they aren't willing to at least take the leap forward themselves, then you're going to be holding their hand the entire time, man. That's what I found for some of those folks that, unfortunately, you know, that you show a portfolio and it's like all this stuff, man, unless they're willing to also continue learning and educating themselves in the world of crypto, then you are the only resource that they have. And it becomes a lot more difficult to yourself because you're like, man, I don't know, dude. Here's what I would do in my situation, right? But I'm not in your situation, right? So it's like all of the different scenarios that end up happening. But if you can come at them with saying like, hey, here's a chart. HEX has gone and done a 3x already since the beginning of the year, and it's anticipated that we may end up getting back into previous all-time highs. Now, what was that? It was around 50 cents. Where are we at right now? Around 7 cents. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that you have a good chance to end up getting a nice little 5, 6, 8x your money. Now again, I can't make any promises, and could this thing dip down 90-95%? Sure, but I'm playing this in the long term where I actually see HEX being well above $1, $2, $3, $10. I'm in the long term on this one, and I could do the same thing with PulseChain. Guys, yeah, we're going to be below penny to get in. You're going to be able to get a lot. But again, are you going to be able to hold it through the whole time? There's a level of mental understanding that everyone has to go through. So yeah, I kind of see what you're talking about on that one as well, Little Uno. I can definitely see the same perspective to, to anyone who has come through on that as well. So good little segment there. Yeah, definitely just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on that reaction right there. Another recent YouTuber who's been given a lot of love and a lot of shout outs is Crypto7, folks. My goodness, thank you so much for all the support, pushing people toward my direction, helping get that subscriber count up. We actually have an interview scheduled as well come whenever the testnet v3 comes out. So I'm excited for that because it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, whenever testnet v3 comes out, folks, we have a stream with Crypto7. So in fact, I wanted to take a look because I also have Access Alive coming on as well, guys. We got a lot of folks coming on board and bringing to the ecosystem of ATX again. So hopefully y'all are sticking around, subscribe to the channel. Y'all get to see some of these amazing interviews with some amazing, beautiful people. And so he actually did one recently with Access Alive where in the video, they actually go through and they discuss a whole bunch of stuff. So I can't show you the whole video, but what I did was I left a link down in the description below. If you want to go check it out, highly advise going to do that. You can also subscribe to Crypto7's channel as well. He drops some amazing content. He has a sentiment analysis, which just means he looks at the overall market, the sentiment, how everyone's feeling, gauges what's going to happen, and then bases everything on that decision. So it's great to get information from a lot of different sources, especially different information from a lot of different views, and then you can make your own investment thesis, right? Like that's what this whole thing has always been about. It's about making your own investment thesis, figuring it out, making sure everything's all good there. So he recently just did an interview with Access Alive on this one, and we're gonna go through and kind of pull up some of these videos as well, and kind of look through and see what I got, because there are a few little nuggets in there, and they're probably all gonna be about a minute long clips that I have. I have them all
conference
separated. But yeah, I mean, guys, this is some amazing alpha knowledge that Access Alive is just dropping phenomenal stuff. And whenever he got on Crypto7's channel, they had a great conversation with each other. So yeah, absolutely. Clifton Lewis, what up? Just want to drop by, show some love to the ATX accounts. I have a family emergency that I need to attend to, but I'm always all in on ATX. Be blessed and have a great stream, brother. Clifton, thank you. Much love to you. Hopefully everything is all good to you and your family. I know emergencies come through and come up, but hopefully it all ends well for you and your fam. And I'll definitely see you back on the stream when you're around, showing everything is all good. Let me know how it ends up turning out whenever you do come back on, or hit me up via private message if you want to chat some more. Through Twitter, right? My DM's always open for you, Clifton. So on this one here, we actually have the Crypto7 stream where he talks about PulseChain launch, HEX price predictions, is it time to ape in on Richard Hart cryptos, right? All this stuff. And I just want to kind of share a few little segments of this video that I just thought was phenomenal, right? So the first thing that they talk about was how the potential of testnet v3 could turn into mainnet. So let's drop this information first.
Would you like to speak to us about where you think we are on testnet v3 and how quickly, and speculate how quickly now we might get the final public test?
Yeah, man. So my understanding of my reading between the lines with no ability to do dev speak is that it feels weeks away for the testnet. And to take that a step further, and I'll speculate here, which is that testnet v3 can easily become mainnet, and I think that's a lot of the fear of the market makers, liquidity providers, and HEX, is that if the testnet going live is the preamble for mainnet, and that nobody knows when the snapshot will be taken,
yes,
and that if they pull their liquidity early, that's really going to give HEX more room to run leading into the snapshot, and the price targets can be absolutely crazy. So because everybody's looking for, how can I get liquidity on the other side of the bridge on the PulseChain network before the bridge goes live? And when you think about it, like we don't really know if the USDC or DAI or whatever is going to hold the dollar peg, but probably don't want to leave your economic energy in that. You may want to be in HEX, which could
So you got to get your HEX.
potentially rise rapidly in price. And I will make a very strong case for that today. Obviously, we've been covering this breakout all the way back since we broke these levels here around 3 cents.
So that's the first little segment, guys. And again, like you heard it right there, V3 could possibly just turn into mainnet. We don't exactly know what's going to happen when V3 comes out. In fact, we've speculated here on this channel as well a few times that V3 may just be private the whole time. And how incredible would that be? That it just runs private the whole time, and then we just get news that Richard Hart says snapshot or fork of PulseChain happening XYZ block a week from now or whatever. And he may not give a block number per se, but he could say like, hey, fork is happening a week from now, get ready, and then launch it the very next day. Why? Because he doesn't want people gaming the system. So I love what he's talking about here in this section. It wasn't even a thought process that I had that it could go from V3 to mainnet. So if that is in fact a possibility, what we're seeing right now with the HEX price makes a little bit more sense, and we're going to dive in to a few other segments as well. Something he talks about is promoting his investments, and that's happening right here. And that's Crypto
For me,
7.
it's just about promoting my investments, and I'm not. I couldn't care less really.
I respect that.
If your channel, if your channel, that's right. If your channel grows massively, and that's all that matters to me. And I think that guys like Crypto Coffee and Hexologist and Funding Gym, they get where I'm coming from there, and so they've been very cool with me. But
I tend to think that you're not going to get left behind, man. You have a very good, strong following, and you have a based approach and outlook. And one thing that I appreciate about your content that I've been aware of now for a few months is you're always there providing edge on anything, and you're not too married to any one thing. It just so happens to be that this satisfies the requirements, your stringent requirements for what a good investment is. And that's why we're aligned in this right now together. And so I think what you're going to come to find is that because of HEX's inherent time lock mechanism, that it is going to end up being a storehouse or an endpoint of economic energy in crypto for a long time. And that might just be the only thing we needed to bind all of this together and have this long-term aligned outlook. And yeah, I think it's great. And I've told the Hexicans the whole way along is I know I'm Hexican blood through and through. I have 15-year stakes, but I'm also, I have a weighted portfolio so that I'm protected in all environments. And that's the logical way to approach this whole ecosystem. And then you have, power in the now moment, right?
So right there, he mentions a weighted average, and that way it can basically be able to sustain himself through any sort of cycle, whether it be bear, whether it be bull cycle. He's not locked in, and that's something that I don't think gets talked about often enough. And so I caught it there because it really caught my attention when he mentioned it. Obviously, big shout out to Crypto 7 having this interview with Access Alive. He basically made a great point that we are all choosing to do this of our own volition. We have found a crypto that meets our standards of requirements, and it just so happens that we all can formulate and come together, and it's just an incredible thing to see in this community as well. So when I hear him say stuff like this, what it means to me is that he's actually breaking it down, saying that, guys, there's a very, very high chance that again, we may end up seeing something happen in the very near future that we may not even fully understand and or fully be ready for. So I just want to make sure that everyone's good to go on that as well, because yeah, he talks definitely here in this segment right here,
Hexicans
this last little
the whole
segment.
way along, as I know I'm Hexican
he's
blood
diehard
through and through. I have
through.
15-year stakes.
But again, this weighted average of what he's talking about is so important. I try to stress on the channel all the time here about having some sort of ladder strategy to provide yourself and your future self everything you possibly need in the future. And that way you're not locked in just saying, I'm going to do 15 and just do one and that's it. Like, you should have some sort of situation so that way when profits and prices do go up, you don't wreck yourself. And he talks about this a little bit later in the stream about early in staking and that kind of stuff. But if you have stakes coming out occasionally on average, whenever you have it on a frequency that's good for you, you're gonna benefit so much more. And then trying to, you know, do everything with like a 3-year cycle and then watch the HEX price reach 60 cents, $1 before the end of the year, for example. And then you do something stupid like pull your stake out early, right? And I call that stupid because you do wreck yourself when you do that. So I do mean it. It's something that, like, yes, you can get some profits, but the amount that you would end up collecting at the end of the cycle of the end of the stake, while the prices may not be there, the amount of HEX you'll have is so much more. So if you set yourself up a ladder strategy, you don't put yourself in a situation that makes you vulnerable or tempted to try to end it early or try to do something reckless, right? And so I wanted to share that information because, again, it definitely caught my attention there. Gabriel actually said on this one here, so that means what we will trade on V3 will be on mainnet. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how that works on that, Gabriel, based on what he was saying. The way I understand it is we're going to get V3, and then I think they have to start the whole syncing process again to make sure that they have all the up-to-date information on the Ethereum blockchain. I don't know if that means they can do a quick sync over the last little bit of what they currently have versus what is currently available. I don't know all this because, again, in terms of dev talk, that's a different scenario that I'm not familiar with. I don't think you can go from V3 into mainnet because, well, and hold the same assets. It would basically revert back to whatever you had during that time that the fork actually occurs. So even if you go through and you make all these crazy trades when V3 happens and you go through and say, I'm going to change all of this around, it's not going to reflect on your actual mainnet PulseChain. So yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but when he comes on board to this stream, hopefully we can clarify this question as well and hopefully get some more information on that. Here's another section where he goes through and actually talks about the God Whale number 2 buying. And this is actually another little segment that we talk about where HEX could end up going in the very near future. So it definitely caught my attention and I wanted to share it with y'all as well.
I wanted to ask you about something. One of the streams I watched recently, and it was amazing because it was, I mean, as I say, I've been really enjoying those streams. There was one where somebody put in a $1.3 million HEX buy, literally while you, and talking about Silver, thanks again for the super chat. Silver, I think he said, look, someone's just
Silver
bought.
was in the chat, and he's like,
Silver was in the
feeding
chat
me
and
the information while I was watching the chain, and I'm live with somebody else, and yeah, it was right here on the price chart. A Genesis ETH well came in and made 1,000 ETH market buy right here.
Yeah, which is about $1.3 million.
Right here, the volume bar says 771, but I'm sure that buy was spread across a couple of the different pairs. This particular pair we're looking at is HEX USDC 0.3% fee pair. And there's basically 4 major pairs right now to watch on HEX as far as liquidity. And we can kind of, if you want, we could dive into that when you're ready.
Yeah. Too, please, let's do that.
So like this is the 1% fee pair, and this is where the market makers are going to make like the most money because they've set up this fat brick of liquidity here between 4.2 cents and right now the price is on the edge at 6.9 cents. Now the price has been trading inside of these thicker bands for a few days. Each one of these bands is roughly like $110,000. So you got maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe like 800 grand, 900 grand, basically $1 million here of the thicker liquidity, followed back by these are just 100 grand bars. And the issue that the buyers are having right now is that this is not falling far enough back down into a bull flag pattern on the chart, so that there's no real liquidity to buy because it keeps getting bought up, and the time spent falling backwards is shorter and shorter and shorter. So the price is actually getting squeezed up against the edge of this band. And as you can see here, you go out to 7 cents and beyond, and there's like 50,000 HEX locked per bar. So there, on this particular pair, there's just nothing. And so, you know, if the price gets here on this pair, then it's going to go look for a better buy on a different pair. And so then you have to go look at what's going to happen on maybe the 0.3% pair. And here you can see that these are only 200,000 HEX bars going out to roughly 11 cents. And so my thesis has been that the amount of pressure on the chart right now is basically going to be so much and so great, and the FOMO is going to get so real in anticipation of a PulseChain testnet v3 announcement from Richard that the price is going to shoot up into this new range, and all of this bid support between 3.2 cents and 5.4 cents is going to be picked up and brought forward into the chart, and then we're going to create a new range, perhaps between 12 and 20 cents.
So you still think 12 to 20?
Well, so just on a typical, so what we have right now on the chart is a typical.
I only mean
bull
that
flag
a few days is a long time in crypto, and I know you were saying 12 to 20. You think we could get to 12 to 20 range quite quickly.
So the reason why I think that is because this is a typical. So this was like the major breakout level
Facts.
off the lows. You can see here this like yellow triangle that formed, and so
Yeah.
this is considered the pole for portion of the flag. So you can see you had a. Let me turn off the magnet. This was a bull flag here. Something like this with overperformance to the downside. This was anomalous because, you know, this was still sentiment hadn't fully flipped bullish yet. So what's happening in the chart, you have to have a keen eye in order to understand how this is playing out and why and where the liquidity sits in order to know where the ranges are going to be. But you can see that this effectively repeated up here, but now the chart is respecting the TA and holding the pattern stronger. So that reinforces that this flagpole is legitimate. And so if you go from the breakout point to the top of that, and that becomes your flagpole, and then you take that pole and you go from the breakout level upon the last PulseChain announcement, that takes you up to this level here, which is the golden ratio, the 1.618 fib target
Love
of
it.
14 cents roughly. So 12 to 14 is where we're targeting on this
Wow.
particular move.
12 to 14.
And
That's
if y'all been watching my channel at all and seeing some of the TA I'm dropping as well, this is, I mean, the fib levels are real, folks. The 1.618, the 0.618, the 2.618. In terms of like trading and what you can do, looking at charting and TA and technical analysis, it's all coming back to this 10 to 14 cent region is what we're looking at here in the very near future. And folks, that not only makes me incredibly bullish, but hearing it from another streamer or even technical analysis it seems way more knowledgeable when it comes to this information. So I'm looking forward to the stream that I have with him to just learn all the information that I can, because guys, seeing this and just seeing it reiterated and from a different point of view and a different perspective, massive. So it's showing that like we're here in the very near future, 10 to 14 cent HEX. And again, get ready to hold your horses, guys, because that's when things start really rallying and start moving. And I kind of just want to make sure that everyone has a plan on that too. The next thing he talked about, which is always incredible, he did talk about liquidity ranges and essentially how whales are going to end up purchasing. So we know just recently we had the God Whale number 2, we'll call him. And I hate calling him God Whale 2. I don't, because again, they don't even have close to, they don't even have close to the 800,000 Genesis Ethereum that the God Whale has, but they still have a crap ton of Ethereum Genesis or Genesis Ethereum, which just means they have Ethereum from when Ethereum first launched. That's all that means. It's the Genesis block. Ethereum launched, created Genesis block, and essentially they were able to have some of that as well. So the fact that they've still been able to hold on to it 7-8 years in just shows that they do have a long-term mindset mentality. And you know, there's going to be several other people, we talk about this, or they talk about it a lot. The whales typically, in terms of crypto, move in pods, right? And so when one starts doing something, it's very likely the others start taking a look at least and trying to see what's going on. And the new wallet who has the Genesis Ethereum staked it for 30 days, and over that 30 days, they're probably going to make roughly about 500,000 HEX over 30 days just in trustless yield alone. Incredible stuff, and who knows what the price of HEX will be at that point in time. But if we're looking at 10 cents again, that's a great amount of money made in just 30 days. And again, they didn't have to do anything besides lock it up. And some folks are going to go way further as well. So let's see what he says here.
Due to these liquidity ranges, there's not much for sale. And so you really can only go about this one way. You basically, okay, assuming that you and your buddies want to get in and they want to bring in 10 or $20 million, one of the ways you can do this is you can quickly, rapidly push the price up, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40%. And then hope that the sellers come in and they sell back down into your range.
Yeah.
Then you end up creating a range of your own.
That.
Right?
I follow
like
that. Do people follow that? That makes sense. So that benefits us as well. So they might want to encourage a FOMO. So they'll push the price up, encourage a FOMO, and then maybe they can then sort of strengthen their position by selling a little bit into some of that interest.
Sure. So the issue that I think that they're going to run into even in this event is that once this, it's so unfortunate if you don't have exposure at this point in the game because of how much air there is above us. But like basically, if you start pushing the price up, right now it's at 7 cents. If you push the price up to 10 cents, you can hope that some OG hexagons come in and try to sell off maybe 5 or 10 million, and then that might bring the price back down, like let's say 20%, and then you have to accumulate that 20% drop, right? And you're going to keep continuing to make these bull flags over and over and over until you hit this target.
But the problem is, it could be somebody else 5 minutes later thinking the same thing.
That is definitely the problem.
You've missed it. I'm loving this. By the way, and
yeah, definitely love what he said there. I mean, that right there is basically the entire breakdown of what we're seeing when we look at the price recently. It's been doing that really since the beginning of the year, so you can literally see it already in action as of right now if you just look back from the beginning of the year so far. Starting at the beginning of January, the price has already gone up and done a 3x from where it used to be, down at the 2 cent level. We're above 6 cents now, so it's already up to almost 3.5%. So when it reaches 8 cents, right, we're even higher. So it just happens that like every single time these people are continuing to buy in, but they can't just come back in with a massive supply. Otherwise, they're going to push the price against themselves, and they could end up marking the price up essentially 100% in one candle, for example, but they have so much slippage that they would end up accruing and eating because the liquidity in these two pairs and HEX in general is very low right now. So if they decide to come in, they have to come in and do these little smart buys where they have to essentially do the purchase, let it go up and have that little rally of 10, 20, 30%, and then have it come back down to hopefully scoop some up, because people are in fact going to sell. People are still trying to take profits, and they're saying like, I've been holding this since December of 2019. I'm going to take profits here at 6, 7 cents, right? Because they're still up massively from when they first got in. You got to understand, not everyone just bought HEX yesterday. There are some folks that have been holding HEX for 3+ years already, so they are going to be selling some, cashing out now that the prices are pumping again. And what are these folks that are having all this liquidity or all this dry powder available? They're scooping it back up and pushing the price on back up. So don't miss the opportunity to get in, because guys, this price is going to get to a certain point where it'll just escape us and we won't even see these prices anymore. He next goes into the Bitcoin halvening, and this actually caught my attention because I never really noticed this, but obviously like Bitcoin and HEX, you can kind of chart only a few coins that have done a 10,000x before. And so it's very difficult. You can look at it against Ethereum, you can look at it against HEX, compare it against really those two projects, whatever you want to call them, because at the same time, these have probably the most actual tie to what HEX actually is, right? And so now that we're flipping Bitcoin store value purpose, because Bitcoin has had several stories over its life to what it is, but lately it's been a good store value. Well, HEX has taken over this store value, and it's taken over by a lot, and I mean a lot. In fact, in just the last 3 months alone, from HEX's pump of 3x, I think Bitcoin's only gone up maybe 50%, if that. So it just kind of shows that the store value is being transferred and people are learning about HEX. But this is an angle that I didn't really understand, so I wanted to share it with y'all as well.
I've heard some people speculating we could get all-time high by PulseChain launch, but I think that's being a bit greedy. But
maybe I don't know. I'm not so sure, because look at, you go back on this 3-day HEX chart, we spent about 30 days trying to turn 5 cents as support, and then you had a nice rally up to 9.5 cents, and then you spent another 30 days turning that as support. But right now we've actually turned this as support in just 9 days on the 5 cent level. So
well, that's very interesting.
It's turning each new by the way, this is part of the element of when store of value cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and HEX create a bottom, they start creating floors that will never ever be revisited ever again. And this is like something that no one in crypto likes to talk about, because it's kind of it's the uninteresting time in the cycle when you're not quite back at all-time highs, and generally the only people looking at the charts at the lows are the guys that are really understanding and are in it, and they don't need to talk to anybody else. So a lot of that information gets hoarded, but don't get left behind. Understand that buying sub 10-cent hex, like once these prices are gone, they're gone forever, and that's kind of what I've been stressing for months now, right?
So yeah, he says it once again there, guys. Don't get left behind. That's exactly what it is right there. I mean, as of this stream, this was what, 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, and just in 2 days alone, the hex was below 7 cents, and right now, if we look at where hex is at, it's above 7 cents, right? And it looks like we continue on this little pattern here. So we're gonna keep taking a little peek over here because he actually goes through and dives in a little bit deeper on this one. Let me see real quick, and I'll come back to answer the questions in chat as well for just 1 minute. But let me take a look over here, showcase 2 more little videos that I had that really caught my attention in this stream. And guys, there's so much freaking knowledge in this that I highly recommend y'all go down in the description, you click and you watch this video yourself. Again, some of this information has to be divulged and understood and reheard multiple times for you to hear it. That's why Richard Hart has always continued to just sometimes repeat himself over and over again, but he drills it inside our head to where now we can almost talk so with such knowledge, with such conviction, and almost sound like Richard Hart, because he literally has said things so many times a certain way that we pick that up and we insert it within our language as well. So when we're trying to describe it, that's what's happening. But yeah, let me show this again. We got a few more minutes here watching this little video and doing the review, and then we'll go through comments and just have some fun.
Correct.
I was going to ask you something about that. At what point do you think that they would want to start selling into the FOMO and the buying? Would that be a couple of dollars or $3, or at what point do you think they would start to look to start selling into this wall of interest as we head further into the bull
Great
market?
question.
Sure. So let's look at what Bitcoin did in its second cycle, because this will be Hex's second bull cycle.
Correct.
Bitcoin went from $2.13 to $209 in 500 days, and that was the first time that the whales decided, okay, I'm cool with this price, and I'm going to sell it down, right?
Yeah.
So they sold.
They were going for the 100x, weren't they?
And so then they sold it down to $60 off that $200 top, but there was so much still pent up demand that the price was able to hold that level of support and recover, and ended up making a double bubble top the same cycle to $1,156 per coin. And that all happened within 743 days.
I'm just thinking, so 100x on the current price is $7, isn't it?
Correct.
If they, so $7.
100x off the low would have been 1.7 cents. We're on crypto 7, so 1.7 cent roughly was the lows. That's $1.70 is like the base target before you even consider speculative bull run. Now what we know for sure is that Hex did it.
Yeah, of course. You're going off the low. You're not going off the current price.
Yeah. Consider that Hex did a double bubble last cycle as well, where it had its initial burst, or its like impulse wave, and then a sideways accumulation wave of new investor eyes, and then it did its blow off top to 56 cents. And so So we know that Hex has a history of doing that. But consider that the liquidity right now is the same setup we had back when we were sub penny at like 0.3 of a cent and 0.6 of a cent. The amount of liquidity in the pools is the same, meaning the price can move up with the same amount of money now, even though the price is 7 or 14 times higher than it was then, right? So that's what creates this ability for this price to move so violently. And so assuming that Hex is a store of value and Bitcoin's a store of value, and their price performance can be somewhat interchangeable, when you put the Bitcoin fractal on Hex price, it's basically saying that your first target is 1,000x off the starting price. The starting price of Hex was at 0.003 of a dollar, so 0.3 of a cent. And so that would put you around that $3 mark for the first, kind of range where the OGs may say, okay, that's good enough for me. I'm selling a bunch of my bags. And then what you need is demand to follow suit. And what I look to for answers on this is adoption. And what matters for adoption, PulseChain is going to be a huge factor in adoption. It's going to bring tons of new economic energy into Hex and into the PulseChain ecosystem, just due to the opportunity that's going to be there on a much cheaper, faster chain that's really just parallel to Ethereum. And that's powerful because Ethereum devs that know Solidity can work on PulseChain, and it's not like a whole new language that they have to learn to code. So a lot of their concepts and ideas can be ported over there quite easily, and then transactions can be made at a fraction of the cost. So your user adoption over there potential is super high. Now, I also look to Metcalfe's law, which basically states that every time a user base doubles, the value of the network grows exponentially, right? And that's important because if the amount of stakers goes from, let's say there's 118,000 wallets staked right now, but let's assume that many of them are duplicate individuals. Let's say maybe there's closer to 70,000 stakers right now. If the amount of stakers doubles to 140,000 stakers, your fair value price goes up by almost a factor of 10x, which would put your price somewhere around that 60 to 70 cent range. And that could potentially be the floor you're looking for at the end of the next bear market, somewhere between $6 or 60 cents and $1.20, if adoption stalled at 40,000 stakers, but it's my belief that we will greatly exceed that due to the PulseChain dynamic.
And at this point,
again, guys, the floor, like, dude, I hear some of this stuff sometimes, and I don't know how y'all don't feel or how y'all feel, but I know how I feel whenever I hear this kind of stuff. And damn, dude, he's talking about 60 cents being the floor. That used to be the previous all-time high. We haven't even hit 60 cents yet, and he's talking about that being the floor. Can you imagine where 60 cents is now just the floor for HEX, and that's where the lowest it possibly goes, and then next time it ends up going into the $1, $2, $20 region? I've pulled this up on my charts before as well, so I've seen the same information from what I can see, but when I hear it from him, he's coming from a different angle. He's pulling it from the Bitcoin second cycle to see the bull run of what it did. And guys, like, yeah, that is freaking epic and super freaking crazy in my opinion. Big fan of what he just said there, right there. Again, the bottom being 60 cents up to $1 something right there, $1.40. Still freaking wild, again, as the bottom. So once we reach these points in time for crypto, we never come back and see these numbers again. Like, we're never gonna see sub $1 Bitcoin, for example, or even sub $1 Ethereum. The only way that happens is if truly everyone and their mother decides to try to get rid of this, which the amount of time, the longer something exists, the longer it's going to exist in the future. It's just like, I just don't see that being the case. And the longer we go with HEX, the further and further we get into this whole product and everything happening and it working flawlessly, guys, the less likely it is that we're ever gonna retrace and see these numbers again. So that made me super freaking bullish. Then he had one last thing right here that I'd actually never heard of. I don't know if y'all have ever heard this, but it's Veblen Goods. And he goes through and kind of describes exactly why HEXs end up getting something like that. So this is the last segment that I had for it.
Maddie All In. I don't know if you know Maddie from his yearly HEX conferences. And
fantastic guy.
Inside of there, I basically detailed, and this, I forget who originally showed me this, but basically he described HEX as a Veblen good. And so for those of you guys tuning in for the first time, a Veblen good is a good that's price rises and its demand rises with its price, versus like a typical good where as price goes up, people don't want as much of it. Like food, if food gets super expensive, you're just gonna opt out and buy cheaper food, because you don't need to have $100, $150 or $1,000 meal every time you go out to eat, right? You don't need these crazy high. But in case of HEX, which provides a consistent yield built into the protocol, if you have a money printer and it's printing you money, and every day the amount of money it's printing is going up, and you're telling your friend, and they buy some money printers, and then they're printing money every day, and then the money printer keeps printing them more dollars, this network effect has an even more compounded effect. And this is proven in the past price performance of HEX. Let me see if I can find the chart here. I term this, people love expensive shit. And the point is that as the yellow line goes up, it increases at a more vertical slope as the price went up. So actually the largest and quickest increase in stakers occurred between 20 and 56 cents in 2021.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it?
So I don't think I'd ever seen that perspective either. At least I've never delved into this sort of segment right here where we actually talk about the stakers actually being more stakers during the time when the price was actually reaching those numbers of 20 to 50 cents and reaching all-time highs, because that was, again, like, it's something that you don't really see. Now, we're daily increasing the overall people holding HEX, we're daily increasing the overall people staking HEX, but guys, these terms are just absolutely incredible. So my sentiment on what was just dropped in that video were probably some of my favorite segments that I just made these little clips for, if you will, that we just watched together, because there's so much knowledge that he's been sharing and so many other people's streams. So definitely check out Access Alive, and his video link is, or his YouTube is down in the description below as well, where you can subscribe to his channel and gain some more crazy freaking alpha. I highly advise it. And thanks for Crypto 7 actually hosting Access Alive, doing this interview with him, making sure that he's asking some great questions that maybe some people needed a little bit more clarification on, because if you don't ask the questions, you never understand, then again, you just stay in the dark. So he was willing to, ask the questions that a lot of folks haven't even been asked lately or been talking about. So shout out to Crypto 7 for that as well. Shout out to all the love he's given for the channel as well. And I just wanted to share my 2 cents on that little segment right there. All right, folks. So what up? Let's see what's up with everybody real quick. Let's go back over here to this screen. Come back over here. Yep, Fibonacci, y'all. It's a real thing. Yeah, it literally is. You can go through and do like Fibonacci for so many other things. It doesn't just have to be crypto. It can be stocks. It can be your investments. It can be so many other things. However, it just moves faster and allows you to see it done so much faster in crypto because why? Crypto is volatile. We know that when it comes to crypto, it goes up, it goes down very quickly. We understand that. We get it. We get it. You know what I mean? But we can see it play out that much faster as well. So it allows us to see some of the retracements happen. The 0.618, the 1.618, the 2.618. HEX has been known to re-hit these levels over and over and over again, which is why we see some charts showing HEX price reaching anywhere between $1 by the end of the year up to in 2024 reaching $20, right? Because it's been known to do these retracements so many times. And I don't want y'all to get left behind, folks. I really, really don't. But, you know, Fibonacci, yes, absolutely real thing. Funkmaster HEX, what up, my friend? My man. Question, does Silvergate Capital crashing have any effect on the crypto market as a whole? No, I mean, at this point in time, everything that kind of has crashed has affected the market and what it is now. I don't think there's any other crazy black swan event that I can see happening that will basically cause the market to crash that people aren't ready for. Because a lot of the times what's happening during these crashes from, you know, centralized exchanges and that kind of stuff is the fact that they aren't selling any assets, so it doesn't even hurt the crypto. It just hurts whoever's invested in holding whatever they have, right? But in terms of like the actual crypto space, no, I don't really see it making any difference at this point in time. What up, Hub? Hello, hello. Hi. That was my wave to you earlier, by the way. Professor HEX, Bitcoiners need CeFi. Ha! Yeah, Bitcoiners definitely feel like they do need some centralized finance, and you know, it is what it is with the Bitcoiners. But to all the Bitcoin bros, that you know, guys, it's time to start learning something else. Oakheart says, "Wow, I'm late tonight. Swimming definitely getting in the way." Lol. Dude, swimming is such a great exercise for your health, for your body. It's a phenomenal workout that you can end up getting. My wife is a swimmer, so definitely know all the perks of that as well. But if you know what I mean, so it's just a funny little thing, guys. It's good on your joints. It's good on so many things. I probably need to do some of that myself. I mean, heck, I am you know, packing on some pounds as of lately. And so I need to start going and doing something. So maybe swimming will end up being my thing, you know, to make it happen. Hub says, congrats on your new subs. It's going fast. Absolutely, guys. Thanks to all the love and support to every single one of you beautiful people who have come through and subscribed recently and lately. I know Crypto7's been a massive help in terms of like, you know, promoting the channel, getting that going as well. So thank you for him, and you know, to everyone who is subscribed coming through. Thank you to all you beautiful people. Like seriously, so much love for y'all. Yeah, looking to continue to grow, do this daily stream live. So if y'all enjoy the content, then come on back for some more entertainment. Are you not entertained? But let's see what's going on real quick, because I had one more idea, guys. And this last bit actually comes down to taking profits, folks. You have to understand that right now, there are going to be plays that need to happen that you need to make right now in order to take advantage of PulseChain and PulseX when it launches. And what do I mean by that? If you are currently invested in HEX, I look to take profits every single time the price doubles. So in fact, when you got in, it depends on when you got in, it depends on how you did it, but if you were able to scoop up some HEX around the 2-cent level like a lot of us were, even the 3-cent level over the last 6 months that we've been sitting there, hopefully you've had your chance to scoop up some, and if you haven't yet, then you can still end up getting some crypto and still play this game as well. So the profit taking plan that I end up sharing with everyone is actually coming through my Patreon. To anyone who wants to get access to this particular spreadsheet, you're welcome to. But the way it works is very simple. You have an initial investment of whatever it is, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, whatever it is that you have. Say you bought here at 6 cents. It's very simple. And when the price doubles, it goes from 1x and it stays at 6 cents to 2, that's a double, to 12 cents, that's a double, to 24 cents, that's a double, to 48. So if based on what Access Alive said in Crypto7's YouTube stream, where they've been talking recently, we may see that HEX ends up reaching a previous all-time high of 56 cents again, which would mean even if you got in today, I'll even put 7 cents right now because that's the current price if I'm not mistaken. So even if you got in today at 7 cents, the idea is that you should be able to take some profits along the way. The way you do that is by selling a small portion of your bag. And what I mean by that is you can choose and decide how much that is and what that actually ends up meaning. You can choose 5%, you can choose 10%. I don't recommend usually going higher than 20% unless you're just really needing the cash, because that's more that you know, trading mentality. 5%, 10% seems to be a great number. You can get some cash back. It allows you to get some back in your pocket. But look at this, folks. If you start out with $10,000 and you turn this into, say when the price ends up reaching 56 cents, that means that you would have sold essentially 3 times, okay? Because it would have done 3 doubles, 14 to 28 to 56, right? So you would have done 3 doubles right here. Well, you would have actually taken out $12,000 worth of profit. And guess what you can do with this $12,000 when the time comes for PulseChain and PulseX to launch? Well, if you decide that you want to use some of that dry powder, you can transfer some of that dry powder and move it into PulseChain and PulseX without even necessarily trying to figure out how much HEX you need to sell, what you need to sell, and all this good stuff as well. Now, keep in mind, this is for everyone to make their own decision and what it is and how much you actually end up getting. But for this decision, it's going to be up to you and you primarily, okay? So I want to make sure that you have a good understanding that these prices are going to be worth taking some profits to make sure that you have the best strategy available for when PulseChain launches. Now, can you convert some of that and transfer it into PulseChain, PulseX, and get into those if you miss the sacrifice? Sure. Can you hold on to it on the sideline in case the price ends up dipping in PulseChain, PulseX? Sure. Can you use some of this profit to DCA into PulseChain and PulseX when it first launches over the first 30 to 60 days? Sure. You're going to have to make that decision yourself, but the idea is that you start planning right now, guys. The 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. When you start making these plans to yourself right now and you start implementing the plans, it becomes that much easier so you don't become emotional whenever something ends up happening, because guys, greed is a real thing. When you start seeing some of these prices double and double and double, and whatever you have starts going from the 10,000 to 80,000, and you continue and you're like, I'll just hold it for the next double. Well, what if the next double doesn't come around? And what if we end up dipping in because HEX sells off when PulseChain launches? You could have used some of that dry powder that you've actually made during that time to get into PulseChain if you missed the sacrifice, or if you didn't get in enough, or if you just want to DCA into PulseChain when it first launches without having to come up with more fresh dry powder, guys. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. I'm telling you right now, if you can come up with a great strategy to start taking a small amount of profits when the price doubles, or whatever plan you have for yourself, then you can implement it when the time comes around. So I wanted to share that information because, again, I don't think it gets talked about enough, and I hope y'all appreciate that content right there. But hopefully y'all are kind of understanding exactly what I'm kind of saying in that one there. Give me one sec. The wife just sent a message here. Want to make sure all is good. Leaving the dermatologist or stop at the store for cream or milk. Sure, why not? Sure, why not? If you don't mind. I gotta send her a grocery list right now. I keep it on my phone. So let me send her what I got so far. And I know I didn't put everything on the list, so. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So let's see what's going on with chat. Once again, hello, O-Carts. Yep, got that swimming in. Absolutely. Congrats on the new subs going fast. Well, it's all thanks to y'all, guys. All the love and support y'all have been helping out with Twitter. I've been seeing retweets of the stream. I've been seeing just the support of every single one of y'all. So thank you again to you beautiful people. That is a good point. The ETH devs can move to PulseChain to develop projects and will continue the growth of PulseChain. Yeah, and it's super simple for them to move over into PulseChain. It's literally the same code. So they already know everything. It's literally like if they've been building a project on Ethereum, but they couldn't implement the project because of gas fees being too high, because of just timing or whatever, well, maybe when PulseChain launches, they can use it because it's, again, pennies. It's less than pennies to transact. So they can just come through and start testing out things, even on the live network of PulseChain when it goes live. Like, assuming they miss PulseChain testnet and all that, when it goes live, they can still test it because, again, the transactions are going to be freaking pennies on the dollar. So it allows them to literally allow them to test, allows them to build, allows them to create. They already know the whole code. They already know Solidity. And all this stuff is right there available to them. So, yeah, absolutely great point. And love seeing it. What's your favorite HEX chart? The one that goes up and to the right? I don't know. What do you mean? What is the actual question, Hubhub? You know, the way you talking about like what's my favorite chart to use to look at HEX, or are you talking about, do I like the minute chart, the monthly chart, the daily chart, the weekly? Like, you know, I just want a little bit more clarification right here. But the two charts that I primarily use, I use three actually. I use Dex Screener. This allows me to see buy and sells, so y'all can kind of see what I'm talking about right here. This allows me to see the buy and sell orders because I'm a person who likes diving in and seeing who did what and where and why, and trying to figure out if I can understand where they're coming from and what's going on inside their head. Do they stake? Do they take profit? Are they even staked at all? Have they ever? Dex Screener is my favorite when it comes to that regard. I use TradingView when it comes to just me looking at a nice easy chart for like a good weekly, monthly chart, so I can kind of spec some stuff out, maybe see like what could happen, assuming that we go back down, for example. I'll even just kind of show this one here. At the 0.618 level, we're around, or 1.618 level from previous all-time high to previous all-time low, we're around 82 cents for HEX, and getting back to the 0.618 level, like we know HEX and things like to retrace to the 0.618 level, then again we're looking at a good 32 cents, and that could happen here in the very near future. So this is one of my other favorites. And then the last one is if I ever just want to see like something from HEX's existence and first launch, you got to go to uniswap.hex.vision and look at the chart on here, because this actually goes back to the first day of the inception for HEX, which is December 2nd of 2019. So if you really want to see all of the data for HEX, and you got to use this particular chart, and based on that, that's kind of where we end up seeing HEX reach this little range of about $27. Even if we kick this out, because maybe it'll take a little bit longer to end up getting to some of these places. Oops. Then again, I can kind of see this getting somewhere here around that November, December timeframe, where we're again reaching that $1 range toward the end of the year this year. We'll end up kind of dipping back down for a little bit. We bounce back up. But this is what we're talking about, where he says that he doesn't see it going below 60 cents after a certain point in time. And based on what this shows as well, it's the exact same thing. So yeah, I mean, Access Alive is a phenomenal, smart dude. I love what he dropped on all of the channels lately. I've been trying to watch all of his streams, and yeah, that's what I can say on that regard. I don't know if that answers the question, Hub. I just went on a full tangent right there. Lol. How long do you think it'll take for HEX to achieve price parity on Ethereum and PulseChain after PulseChain launches? Prospector, I don't believe in this whole price parity. I'm not sure. I know I'm not the only one in this regard, but when it comes to price parity, you have to understand that there's so many different factors, like liquidity provided on them, how much does it cost, who's jumping in, how much action's happening, is there arbitrage opportunities? There's so many different things that are happening. So by price parity, are you saying, you know, $12 in total for the entirety of HEX, one being $8, one being $4? Or do you mean that we're going to see parity as like one being $6 and one being $6? I don't see that happening. It does not make any sense for anyone, especially even the OA, to try to come in and provide this liquidity pair for EHEX and PHEX to make sure that they match completely and that they stay matching the entire time. The amount of trading and volume and action that's going to happen is going to be absurd. So I can't see anyone who would want to come in and do that. The automated market maker is going to come in and ratio everything when everything first launches. But based on that alone, it's going to pull up a whole bunch of information, and I don't see price parity being the same. Like, I don't see 50 cent HEX here and 50 cent HEX here, right? And then by parity, it's tough because like you could say like, yeah, it's going to be $1 in total, but that's not really parity. Right, that's just saying in total, in its totality, HEX is going to have $1 on two chains, between two chains. but that's like in its totality. That's not parity in my opinion. So I don't know. Tough to answer that. Hopefully that made a little bit more sense. I was thinking about charts on look into Hex. Oh, gotcha. Man, I'm kind of sad that Gerardo doesn't update the website anymore. Really, from what I see. I mean, dude, look into Hex was a beast of a website. That whenever I first got into Hex, this was probably one of my favorite websites when I first started looking into Hex and getting into Hex. You could see a whole bunch of data. He had all this stuff and it pulled up all this information. This logarithmic regression rainbow was beautiful. Essentially, once it fell out of the logarithmic regression rainbow from here, and it fell out, what was that, back day 900, whatever day that was. And again, I could do the math. Yeah, October 6th of 2022. Once it fell out of that little rainbow right there, well, he kind of like stopped updating because the calculations he would have to figure out to make it work was wild and it wasn't making sense and it didn't make sense to do. So he was doing a whole bunch of charts. I was a big fan of looking to Hex. He hasn't really updated in a while, and so unfortunately I have found other websites now at this point in time. Hexfire.io is probably the main one that I use in terms of like all of the data, just being a complete data nerd myself. I mean, this dude has so much data you can possibly imagine. It's got staking data. You can look at different charts. You can actually pull up the share rate chart. You can pull up different daily charts. So you can look up the inflation. You can look up the supply. I mean, it's got charts for days. If you want to look at charts, like, this is the place to go. There's a new one out as well that's also called hexmodel. Let me make sure I give you the right website. Hexmodel.com. And this is another website that just recently has kind of come out that you can kind of go through and get some good Hex and Icosa charts, if you will. Hexhedron and Icosa charts. So if I pull up Hex, for example, it'll pull up a whole bunch of information in terms of some daily stats, some daily payout, the T-share rate, the total T-shares, again, circulating Hex, staked Hex. That's hexmodel.com for that one. And then the last one that just recently came out is hexbase.de. And this one just recently came out by Sebastian, so shout out to him for making this available. I don't know what. One second. Do I even have a sign in for this? One second. Hexbase.de. Okay, yeah, I don't even have a login for it. I don't know why I pulled that up. Okay, cool. So it's hexbase.de/service allows you to get access to this particular chart right here. And yeah, there's so much data in terms of this one. I haven't even had a chance to fully divulge into like understanding what everything is, but it gives you all of the recent stakes that just happened today, how much was staked, how long they staked for, all this information, how many T-shares they've acquired. And so it actually, like I said, in terms of one of the more recent websites that just recently came out, this one's probably going to be the main one that I've seen. Again, it has a bunch of stuff in terms of the stakers, in terms of the overview of Hex, if you're just trying to get some more information. One of the things that I found to be so freaking cool on this website was this right here. It gives you a breakdown of how many T-shares they have, how much Hex they get on available inside each wallet, what the total is, the daily payout. I love this part right here. This daily payout was freaking epic right here, right? So it literally shows that like how much they're getting per day based on the amount of T-shares that they have, and then how much they've accumulated all this time already. So by the time this stake, whoops, I didn't mean to zoom in. By the time like this stake started here back in October 13th of 2021, that's the first day it started. I don't know how long it goes for. It went until the end of January 5th. That was just for this one. Okay, can I click on different ones? Okay, no. So, okay. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure this particular website out. So again, just make sure I understand. But this is all of the stakes that they currently have available. And out of all of it, so far, they've ended up accruing $3,000 in dollar terms of the US dollar amount, but in terms of Hex, they've accrued so much. The daily payout per T-share that they make is $19 per day based on these 41 T-shares. And again, you can do some fun math on what that ends up being, but that's at the price of being 7 cents right now. Like, what happens when we reach 10 cents, 20, 30, 50 cents? Like, that number increases real quick. So you can see it making to where you end up making like $100 passive income per day on that as well. So good little websites. Those are the main ones that I would kind of point people in a direction of lately in terms of what you're talking about right there, Hub. Hopefully that's what you were talking about and answered it a little bit better for you. But again, I'm using hexfire.io. This is probably the main, this is the one that takes the cake right here in my opinion. I mean, Crispy Man, phenomenal job of what he did right here for every single one of us. I'm still diving in. I haven't even checked out all the charts on this particular one, right? There's so many that's available. It's like, oh my gosh, I could dive into this. I could see this. I could do this. It's like, it's incredible, right? This is what we're looking for in my own opinion. And if you're looking for charts and some data as a data nerd, hexfire.io, that's going to be the one. If you had to ask me what was probably my favorite. So hopefully that answered all the questions right there. Do y'all have any other questions real fast while you got me on stream? Otherwise, my friendly, I don't even know what I'm trying to say there. I'm just going to stop before I end up saying something that I regret. I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret. Yeah. Anyone else got any questions for me while you got me on stream? Let's just say it like that. How about that? What other things y'all got going on, folks? We have talked about a lot today. We primarily reviewed some videos that I think really just wanted to share with anyone who may be in my ecosystem and not familiar with other people in the community's ecosystem like Crypto7, Access Alive, and Fashion Coder. I think overall they do phenomenal jobs, and I'm looking forward to chatting with every single one of them at some point in time here in the very near future. Get ready for Fashion Coder to come on March 10th of this month. So she's just about a week away, and we're going to be chatting with her. If you want to check that out and catch that stream, subscribe to the channel to make sure that you do not miss it. To anyone who stuck around this long in the video, if you aren't subscribed, you're absolutely crazy. Do yourself a favor and click it, because it means you obviously like something I'm talking about. But if not, guys, that's all good either way. I appreciate everyone who does tune in to the streams, especially on a daily basis. Come in here, participate in the chat. We have an absolutely phenomenal community that we got going on. So I love every single one of you beautiful people. I hope y'all have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace!